President Buhari interfaces with Nigerians' former leaders and SARS protest stops agenda. Zamfara State government seeks federal government intervention towards ending resurgence of crime in the state. Plus, update from correspondent. Zamfara State governor declares 24 hours curfew in Ilorin. Hello and thanks for joining us on the News at 10 and NTA News 24. I am Abdul Malik Adio. And now, in furtherance of this genuine effort at finding lasting solutions to the NSAS protest in parts of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari held a virtual meeting with the nation's former leaders. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that all the 6 surviving former heads of state participated at the online meeting.
Thank you, sirs, for accepting to join in this meeting.
Bringing the former Nigerian leaders up to speed on the NSAS protests, President Muhammadu Buhari said the youth protesters not only demanded that the police squad be disbanded, but further articulated 5 additional demands. Amongst them, the immediate release of all arrested protesters, justice for deceased victims of police brutality, and setting up an independent body to investigate reports of police misconduct and ensure prosecution of those found wanting.
We accepted all the demands and proceeded immediately to scrap SARS and started the process of addressing the other demands. Unfortunately, the protesters refused to call off the protest and engage the government to address their grievances. Instead, they gradually turned violent.
All the issues the President explained were thoroughly analyzed at Thursday's meeting of the National Security Council and described as unfortunate that the initial genuine and well-intended protests of the youth against SARS had been hijacked and misdirected.
Government will not fold its arms and allow miscreants and criminals to continue to perpetrate these acts of hooliganism. We will continue to improve good governance through our democratic process, including through sustained engagement. We shall also continue to ensure that liberty and freedom, as well as the fundamental rights of all citizens, are protected. Here, I want to also reaffirm our commitment to preserving the unity of this country.
During the meeting, each of the former Nigerian leaders made invaluable comments and observations on the situation, commending President Buhari for the steps taken so far towards restoring calm and order to the country. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo in particular applauded Thursday's presidential broadcast, saying President Buhari made points worthy of commendation, especially accepting the demands of the genuine protesters and working on implementation. The former heads of state unanimously condemned the divisive and inciting pronouncements of separatists and were of the opinion that such acts should be stopped. While expressing condolences to the bereaved families of civilians, policemen, and soldiers killed as a result of the violent protest, the former leaders called on youth to pursue peaceful means in seeking redress through constructive engagement with government. Actions taken by governors to address the demands of the NSAS protesters were also commended, so also their efforts at checking the excesses of those who perpetrated violent acts and conducts. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Another development, Governor Bello Mohamed Mutawalli of Zamfara State has made a passionate appeal for intervention by the federal government towards putting a stop to the resurgence of crime in the state, especially armed banditry and illegal mining activities. This is when the governor was granted audience by President Muhammadu Buhari for discussions on the prevailing security situation in his state. Siral's correspondent, Adam Musambo, has the details.
This is the second time President Muhammadu Buhari will be granting audience to Governor Bello Mohamed Mutawalli of Zamfara State in the last 2 months. The governor's latest visit to the nation's seat of government is to brief President Muhammadu Buhari on the recent killing of his people in parts of the state by armed bandits.
After the disbandment of SARS, we have some challenges, particularly the day before yesterday, about 20 people were killed under Talata Mafra local government, and what I was soliciting to Mr. President is to see how we can be able to have more security that will secure the territory of the state. So he directed the Chief of Staff to contact relevant agencies to mobilize more security to the state with immediate effect.
The governor's engagement with President Muhammadu Buhari also centered on what he described as the worrisome activities of illegal miners in the state and called for intervention by the federal government towards restoring sanity in the greater interests of the country.
The central government need to do something very urgent in order to harness these on-top mineral resources that the state has. As you are all aware, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Resources are working hard in order to make sure that they have come off with a genuine workable document that can benefit both the state and federal government, which Mr. President directed the National Security Advisor to form a committee, a task force on illegal mining, which can go around the state and fish out these illegal miners. As you are aware, most of these illegal miners are not Nigerians, but with the support of the Army, police, and other security agencies in the state, some of these people were apprehended.
He commended the federal government for taking far-reaching measures towards effectively policing the nation's borders against the influx of foreigners illegally into the country.
I have confidence on that, and I believe for now we may not have some foreign national coming into the country, inshallah.
The governor promised to collaborate more effectively with the federal government towards achieving sustainable peace, security, and socio-economic development. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the plan of both federal and state government to investigate police brutality and prosecute erring police officers would be a game changer in ensuring an end to impunity. This was when the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, received an American government delegation where discussion centered on end SARS protests and strengthening of relationships between the two countries. Now, State House correspondent Jide Onifade report.
The plan being referred to by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo include the creation of new state-based security and human rights committees, as well as providing compensation to victims of the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other police units. The Vice President told the delegation that at least 13 states in the country, including Lagos, have since established judicial panels to seek justice and to compensate those whose rights have been breached. On the concerns of the U.S. government on instances of impunity in the country, Vice President Osinbajo noted that these efforts are part of the Nigerian government's commitment to implement extensive police reforms, adding that the establishment of judicial panels of inquiry nationwide will further ensure that the police and other security agencies ensure the protection of human rights of citizens. The Vice President also highlighted what he termed false narratives about Nigeria, including the Edda farmer crisis, especially in north-central states, and the politics behind the allegations. As the vice president explained, the Edda farmer crisis was exacerbated mainly because of land and resources struggle, then from the misinterpreted Christians versus Muslim narrative. Members of the United States delegation offered to collaborate with the federal government on these issues, a suggestion welcomed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and hoping that such cooperation will create better understanding of the issues. The American government delegation is made up of the U.S. Assistant Secretary, Bureau for Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Bob Destro, the U.S. Assistant Secretary, Bureau for Conflict Stabilization Operations, Dennis Natali, the Chancellor of the U.S. Department of State, Thomas Ulrich Richbold, and the Chargé d'Affaires U.S. Embassy, Kathleen Fitzgibbon. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NJ News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari's speech on NSAS protest has been described as soul healing, following the turn the earlier planned peaceful protest took in some parts of the country. Bakar Usman Akwanga reports that the chieftains of the All Progressives Congress, APC, says commitment should be sustained in permanently addressing issues inimical to national cohesion.
The nation has found itself in a difficult situation fueled by the NSAS protesters, leading to damage of public and private infrastructure and assets. In a broadcast to the nation, President Muhammadu Buhari made an appeal to douse the tension which disturbed the peace in some parts of the country. Commending the president's commitment to contain the situation, former chairman Progressive Governors Forum and senator in the 9th Assembly Rochas Okorocha says what the country desires is greater cooperation to overcome the trying times. Similarly, the Director General Progressive Governors Forum, Saliu Mohammed Lukman, lauded the well-developed and pragmatic solutions inherent in the speech of the president and appealed to NSAS protesters to patiently wait for the implementation of their demands in the coming week.
We must give peace a chance, and we must allow this nation, this great nation that the entire Africa depends on, to thrive in peace. What started a few days ago as a peaceful protest has resulted into Nigeria again losing many souls and again burning properties and people living in fear. This situation was quite unfortunate.
But if government is going to, and I think that is the frustration of government, if government is going to engage, it's not going to engage in the street. At a point, there has to be representation on the part of young people that can meet government. So these are some of the details that I think force us into the current stalemate.
They say the level of destructions suffered as a result of the uprising is monumental and urged stakeholders, regardless of party and religious divides, to close ranks in quelling the protest. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And the leaders of Southeast have condemned the attempt by some ethnic groups, alleging that the NSAS protest is an ethnic affair. Now, the chairman, Southeast Governors Forum and Governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, briefed journalists at the end of their virtual meeting in Abakaliki. Kingsley Okoro report.
Making reference to a video threading in social media alleged to have emanated from Nnamdi Kanu, branding NSAS protest to an Igbo agenda, Governor David Umahi says it's not true and is not saying the mind of Igbo leaders.
We as leaders of Southeast do condemn in strong terms the audio video in circulation in social media said to have emanated from Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, though he has since denied it. We condemn the attempts by some ethnic groups to brand NSAS the affairs of the Igbos.
He said there was nothing wrong in the peaceful protesters' demand, which the government is already working hard to fulfill. Governor Umahi rather called on leaders of other zones to work with the security agencies within the ambit of the law to secure lives and property of the people.
We want to appeal to all our people all over Nigeria and beyond to please disembark from NSAS protest. So I appeal to our brothers from the north, our leaders from the north, our leaders from the west, our leaders from south, all our leaders all over the nation to please do everything to continue to maintain peace among all the ethnic groups.
When condemning killings of Lekki peaceful protesters, Governor Umahi called on the youth from the zone to pull out of ELSA's protest and dialogue for the good of the country. On the destruction of public facilities in the state by the hoodlums, the governor directed security agents and youth from the state to work in synergy to avert further destruction. In Abakaliki, Kingsley Okoro, NTA News.
And the News at 10 is broadcast live on NTA News 24, reaching live from Abuja, the nation's capital. More reports in the moment. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has declared 24 hours curfew in Ilorin, the state capital, following the breakdown of law and order in the metropolis. Now, the governor said the decision was taken after an emergency security council meeting. And joining us from Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, is our correspondent, Muswal Dan Wahab, who brings us up to speed with the recent developments.
All right, thank you for joining me. It was a massive looting spree here in Ilorin, Kwara State capital, on Friday, like an orchestrated activities across the town. And it all started in the afternoon when a group of people attacked the cargo terminal inside the Ilorin International Airport. And immediately after that was successful, they went to the customs office at Idi Road, and that continued, but they were repelled actually by officers and men of the customs service. Some casualties, the number yet to be confirmed, were actually recorded in that case, but immediately after that they got to discover another storage facility at Agro Moor at Agric along Sango in Ilorin here too, and immediately people got wind of that information. All roads led to that storage facility at Agric when people from different parts of the town were going towards that place to attack, vandalize and loot the materials kept in that facility, which included food items. People were seen carrying bags of grains, condiments and what have you. They also got away with building materials like roofing sheets, bags of cement, and even ceiling materials. Even textile materials too kept in that facility were looted. And when this was going on, continuing till around 7-8 p.m. in the evening, people were shouting "ShopRite, ShopRite," signaling information that attention has been shifted to that part of the town at Fati. Now, a lot of questions have been asked about this. Why some people were saying that why should the government be keeping relief materials that were supposed to have been distributed to the people? Or others are saying that should that be the explanation for attacking ShopRite 2, which is a private business outfit? What all of this speaks to is the level of volatility of situation in the country. But immediately after that, the state governor Abdurrahman Abdrazak went on to broadcast to the state after his meeting with security agencies, and he condemned that act as that of criminality. And according to him, the state government has directed security agencies to take charge of the situation under this 24-hour curfew and investigate into the matter.
My thanks, Musba Donha, for that information. Now, the youth wing of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council is calling on the NSAS protesters to back down and give peace and dialogue a chance. Now, Timothy Yusuf reports that the Muslim and Christian youth of Nigeria under the council are charged with the responsibility of promoting peaceful coexistence.
This group of Muslim and Christian youth believed that the violence that took over what was initially peaceful NSAS protest was avoidable if the protesters had not allowed hoodlums to hijack and disrupt the process in some parts of the country. They want the protesters to put an end to the demonstrations to avoid further hindrance to national development.
Because of the hijacking of the protest, we suggest we go for dialogue.
We are all concerned about building a better Nigeria. So let us remain partners in building peace.
It is time for them to really allow the government to work on the proposals.
Another group of youth under the banner of Nigeria Youth Organization at a road walk in Abuja is urging fellow youth to give peace a chance, as it believes that the present administration remains committed to improving the well-being of the citizenry.
Give peace a chance. There is no country that can survive war. So we are begging our youth that let us allow Mr. President to implement what he has approved for us.
Both the youth wing of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council and the Nigeria Youth Organization maintains that dialogue remains the most effective tool for dispute resolution. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Now, a large number of women at the grassroots have benefited from the humanitarian gesture of the Nigerian's First Lady, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, in some local communities of Yobe State. Now, State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports that this is part of the ongoing nationwide Future Assured program of supporting women and children geared towards improving their health and general well-being.
Women, especially widows and those at the internally displaced persons camps and other vulnerable groups in Guru local government area of Yobe State, received palliatives courtesy Future Assured program of the First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari. Prioritizing health as one of the cardinal objectives of the Aisha Buhari Foundation, the gesture is meant to support the women and children towards improving their health status and generally their living condition. The Special Assistant to the President on Organization of African First Ladies for Development, Mohammed Al-Bashir, stood in for the First Lady.
We're here on this very moving trip to give help and assistance to women, vulnerable people, internally displaced, widows, and those really in need, providing them with toiletries, sanitary kits, and things that will help them and make life a little easier for them, because she truly cares about all women in the country.
The delegation was also at Machina local government area for a similar exercise. Receiving the items for onward distribution to the beneficiaries, the Emir of Machina, Mai Machinama, Bashir al-Bashir Bukar Machina Mai, enjoined them to use the materials judiciously. He expressed appreciation for the gesture, describing it as unprecedented.
On behalf of the Machina community, I wish to express our sincere appreciations to the First Lady for giving this noble assistance to my community. In fact, this is the first time we are receiving an assistance from the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Similar exercise is expected to be extended to other parts of the country. From Machina Emirate Council in Yobe State, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Now, the federal government says disaster management in the country will henceforth focus on adequate sensitization on risk and disaster reduction promptness of disaster managers as well as better service delivery to the victims of disaster. Now, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, Sadia Umar Farouk, said this at the celebration of the International Disaster Risk Reduction Day. Ilyas Wali Yakubu report.
Disaster management across the globe has been such a Herculean task, always overwhelming interventions from all angles. The United Nations General Assembly viewed this as a threat to human existence and launched the Disaster Risk Reduction Policy in 1989 to promote a global culture of risk awareness and disaster reduction. This policy document that is being celebrated in October every year is a total paradigm shift from reactive approach to the proactive interventions to save lives and reduce cost of interventions. The celebration in Nigeria was dominated by demonstrations of government proactiveness towards preventing risks before the main disaster occurs. The Humanitarian Affairs Minister said key actors in the management of disaster are fully mobilized to do the needful at all times.
The main focus is to actually create awareness and to also educate the general public on how we respond to this kind of disasters when they occur.
We immediately created an incident command post where reports were brought. Here we have reports from the various floors, from floor 1 to 11.
The 2020 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction has as a theme disaster risk governance that will take charge of the management of disaster holistically to provide a better life for the citizenry. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Many thanks for watching. I'm Abdul Malik at you. Remember to connect with the Nigerian Television Authority and stand against rape and rapists. Morning.